Hey, hello and welcome to the Seafoam Miles Draft League Season 2. I didn't think this was going to happen, but it did. But here is just me going over all of the new draft mons right over here for all of the Victory Road players who joined and maybe just people who aren't well versed in the with the Pokemon. So I'll just be going from alphabetical here. And with these guys, I think I'm just going to review specifically Heavy Duty Boots as an item after going over all of these Pokemon. So, yeah, without further ado, we'll jump into it. Before I forget, I'm Colin, coach of the New York Gladios. And there are going to be a lot of people helping record this season, thankfully. I appreciate everyone helping. But, yeah, without any more delay, let's just jump into Aegislash, whichever. And I have had the pleasure of being able to use this Pokemon a handful of times since the beginning of Gen 8 drafts because of its nerfs. If you didn't know, it lost 10 defenses in shield form and 10 attacking stats in attack form. So it just lost some BST, and King's Shield got nerfed from harshly dropping attack, like -2 to -1, which makes it less spammable anymore. So yeah, it's typically unbanned now, and it's widely accepted as a very, very good tier 1. I do have quite a few sets for this Pokemon, especially in draft. I won't be going over all of them, but I'll run over a few because that's the point of this whole video. Any like power boosting choice items like banned with I'm pretty sure you always run close combat, but your choice item is what determines your other 3 moves, if you're running choice, of course. So, you know, normally if you're running physical with band, you're gonna want a Iron Head set, like Iron Head, Sneak, and Shadow Claw. This is normally what spread you want to go with for like this type of thing. But yeah, I'll reset it real quick as I go over specs. I don't have any calcs on hand right now, but yeah. So you hold on to close combat because you still have base 150 attack if you're not like minus attack nature. You're not actually like losing a lot of power. It's still deadly close combat even uninvested. So yeah, you're just gonna change Iron Head to Flash Cannon. Typically you might want to keep Shadow Sneak. And then last move, you are going to want Shadow Ball because that is like the epitome of Aegislash is this move, just spamming Shadow Ball. And then choice isn't the only good set. This just breaks through like everything, with the exception of Mandibuzz and stuff. The main drawback being that it's slow and a little bit hard to wall break with, but if you can get it in repeatedly against things that can't kill it or force switch because the thing that you're fighting that is their win condition is too slow and dies to this will pick up a kill so often whenever they're in. So then if we go reset this set, there's also this Pokemon unsurprisingly can run like a billion sets, so There's this set, which is like scary. You just got basic leftovers, which is common. King Shield, like 3 move. Three move. King Shield, you can run special. And then another good set with this Pokemon is just Shadow Ball. And yeah, just King Shield sub Shadow Ball, and then a 4th move, which is pretty much unanimously toxic. But if you're nervous about having just Shadow Ball versus a team with a good normal type like Blissey, last move can be close combat. But typically, if they have a Blissey, you're not running sub-toxic. You're probably running Banded or Specs, because, you know, even uninvested, you're killing everything with that close combat. So I think that covers, it's not every set because this mon is insanely versatile, but that covers some early bases with just Aegislash. This also Swords Dance and Atomize with Weakness Policy, and then there's Swords Dance with Leftovers, etc. I'm not going to go over those. Swords Dance obviously sweeps. There's also Double Dance. I'm not going to like type them in, but yeah, this Pokemon can run pretty much any offensive set and has a great deal of defensive utility with this great defensive typing and King Shield. Basically, TLDR. Next up is Articuno-Galar. It's a much weaker Pokemon than Aegislash. I'm 90% sure that you were running heavy-duty boots on this, or choice specs. Maybe leftovers from time to time. But this mon is not very commonly drafted. This is one of the ones I'm less well versed in myself. It's competitive, which is nice, but unfortunately can't abuse sticky webs like Milotic or Bisharp. But this thing does get Calm Mind stored power, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So you get Calm Mind stored power. This is the only Galarian legend, like, bird trio that gets a recovery move, because the other 2 don't. And the last move is Air Slash, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, or Hurricane. Those sets are... This is probably one of the best sets that you can run, because it's a terrifying sweeper. But yeah, moving on, you know, you're pretty much always running boots because this mon is kind of bulky, and you want to preserve that because you do have reliable recovery, and you don't want to be wasting turns and momentum getting your HP back. So, then you have Freezing Glare, you have Choice Specs. It's a much less versatile mon, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it doesn't get Defog, which kind of sucks. It does get U-Turn, which is fun. Trick Room, which is fun, but it's more or less cut and dry as Sweeper or like Clicking Specs, Freezing Glare / Hurricane with like U-Turn. I guess I'll put that set because I put like 4 for Aegislash. So then, hey, I will screen share. Here you go. Share. So, yeah, I'm on Articuno-Galar now. I went over the stored power calm mindset already. I'm just going to go over choice specs briefly, even though it's nowhere near as powerful. And like, this is the set, and then it's just run any 4th move. I guess you could do Air Slash if you're afraid of missing fast specs. I guess for this I can quickly go over that just to have a set in the end.
Hello, Colin. I'm joining the call.
Yeah, you're good. We can.
Good.
Yeah.
What are we looking at, Colin?
I'm talking about Aegislash and Articuno-Galar at the moment. I was about to move on to Cinderace, which is going to be a fun one, but there's no Libero in this league.
Yes. Okay, so do you want to then, or?
So yeah, we'll go over to Cinderace now. Alright, so this Pokemon is a lot worse with without Libero, obviously. And since you don't have Libero, you're commonly running heavy-duty boots, but the other half of the time, you're pretty much always running Choice Band.
Or Choice Scarf?
Yeah, Choice Scarf Cinderace isn't half bad, especially since it's got a great speed tier, where it'll outspeed all other, majority of other Scarfers.
And with such a good stab and Pyro Ball, you can still hit relatively hard on that end.
Yeah, Pyro Ball is kind of insane. You're not killing yourself with Flare Blitz. You can run Boots, you can run Band, you can run Scarf. There's a lot of things you can do with this Pokemon.
With Blaze in particular, I think Pyro Ball will end up being your bread and butter most of the time. I think with coverage, with U-turn, outside that you've got a lot of fighting coverage. Things like Zen Headbutt for things like Dragapult against a Pex. You've got things like Acrobatics. A couple of different utility options you can use. Definitely the fire and fighting coverage with U-turn will probably be best used sets.
Normally you're always running Pyro Ball U-turn because you don't have Libero. If you have Libero, you're pretty much exclusively running Boots, but you don't. So you're not always running Boots because you need Choice Band for that power boost. And then also for non-Choice Band sets with heavy-duty boots, you have Core Change, which is a really, really nice utility move for it. There's also Bulk Up, Taunt, Super Fang. Those are some pretty fun gimmicky sets. It can break fairies with Gunk Shot. Yeah, this Pokemon has versatility. It's just a little weak without power boosting items. That's why it's tier 2, not tier 1, but it can break things weak to it pretty hard.
I think as well, with its current speed tier, there's only quite a couple Mons with such a decent speed tier above 115. So picking this up in tier 2 really isn't that bad of an option for a bit of a instant defense startup, really. Clicking possibly banded Pyro Balls, getting U-turns in, and also packing some coverage moves or whatever wall you want to try and break through that week.
Yeah, this Pokemon is insanely hard to wall. It has let's see, Acrobatics, High Jump Kick, Double Edge, Gunk Shot, Iron Head, High Jump Kick, Zen Headbutt, Super Fang, Sucker Punch. There's so much on this Pokemon. And then it even has Bulk Up, which is a lot weaker without Libero, but it's still an option, especially for it's good in a matchup. It's really good in that matchup.
Any matchups where the speed tier you sometimes come against teams where their high speed tier might be 105. Sometimes a sub bulk up set against those sort of teams, those slower teams, can be devastating. Because once that sub gets up on a switch and you get a couple of bulk ups up, sometimes that just fire stab mixed with maybe fighting coverage or mixed with a Zen Headbutt for Hex or something can be really devastating.
Yeah. I feel like you're hardly ever running Zen Headbutt, but if they do have Pex, it's definitely a strong option if you're banded.
Otherwise, I guess the fighting stab is not fighting stab. But the fighting coverage almost seems like a stab at this point. So commonly used.
Yeah. So, and on this, the main notable difference between Libero and Blaze is that U-turn isn't murdering Pokemon on its own. But yeah, that's pretty much Cinderace. This Pokemon's got a lot of utility. It's just, if it had Libero, we could probably talk about this Pokemon for hours and why it's broken. But yeah, without further ado, let's move on to Corviknight. Yeah.
Arguably the sexier Skarmory. Skarmory, but more fun.
Yeah. I feel like Corviknight in draft is like, it's not bait, but it feels a lot weaker than it does on ladder, because, you know, your attacking stats aren't as insane, and you do feel the confinement of, like, having 3 different coverage moves.
Yeah.
But even if it only has 3 coverage moves, the utility this Pokemon can provide is pretty much unrivaled. Taunt, U-turn, Roost, Iron Defense, Body Press.
There's also just a really very consistent defogger. If you have a team that is very rock weak, you slap a Corviknight on it, you'll probably find that your problems disappear.
Pretty much. I mean, you don't want to bring Corviknight to every game, especially if their offensive pressure is through the roof, like it is so often. But Corviknight versus balance is certainly a demon, because it will sit on 4 out of 6 Pokemon, and then it forces the opponent to have to outplay you incredibly hard. And it also kind of wrecks Stall with that immunity to Toxic, as well as the combination with pressure.
A big thing for new players as well is you gotta make sure that you realize this is not a Skarmory replacement. They are very different mons in different ways. Skarmory is definitely a physical wall with the options of setting up and stacking hazards. However, Corviknight is much more of an anti-Stormon, can set up. It is different in many ways.
Yeah. It also has much stronger HP, much better defense, lack of sturdy. It's a lot more... It's stronger on balance builds than it is for anything, because it allows for a really powerful stall breaker with that taunt, pressure, immunity to toxic, etc. And then on top of that, Roost. It's very helpful, and especially versus offense. If they have something like Landorus that crushes your team, Corviknight is definitely something that can just sit on a lot of Pokemon. And then on top of that, it does have those random sweeper sets, which can be incredibly terrifying, like Bulk Up, Weakness Policy, because it does get access to Agility. I never knew it had Reflect and Light Screen, which is...
Yeah, it's also a screen setter with the option to pivot out into your, whatever you want to, your Abuser. Ailwind sets could also have a little bit of viability here. A lot of options on this mon.
Yeah, especially since it's so slow. Like, it can pivot out so easily on a screens team. And it can scare out defoggers by, like, threatening to U-turn out on them into a teammate that punishes defog. Or just hard switching, but that's less interesting. But Taunt is a very helpful move on any Pokemon, and, like, you got your just basic set, which is just like Iron Hand, Roost.
You could argue that this mon, out of most things, this has a lot of glue potential. This could be a thing that helps you really round out each of your builds each week. Can do a variety of things really well. Very important roles to fill.
I feel like this is definitely a stronger beginner Pokemon, because it has a large lack of weakness, because it's only weak to fire and electric. So it will help learn building by just teaching you to cover stuff like just those 2 exact weaknesses, which aren't that hard to come by, like rock and ground.
Well, even just a dragon.
Yeah. So that's Corviknight. Very fun Pokemon. This is the last... Well, except for Articuno-Galar, I would recommend all of the Pokemon we've talked about so far to draft.
I would say all these mons are very different if you swap.
Yeah.
Now for something more divisive. I feel like... oh dear.
This Pokemon. Alright, well, since you're almost exclusively running Guerrilla Tactics, you might as well just stack on either the power or just get speed to capitalize. The most useful items are Band and Scarf. There's also, like, this small little niche of Boots and then Zen Mode Belly Drum.
I think the big thing new players should look at with Darm is understanding, although how powerful Darm looks on paper, within the Draft League format, due to it being always locked in with Guerrilla Tactics to one move, it can be very easy to play around. Players must kind of keep this in mind. Many teams might carry Protect as a scouting move to see what move you'll lock yourself into and then switch accordingly. So I would recommend don't build your entire team around Darm being your sole offensive threat. I think it works much better in complement to something else being a primary offensive threat. Purely because teams can prep for Darm very well.
I feel like Darm is definitely the Pokemon that threatens people out, yeah? Because, you know, Banded Guerrilla Tactics can OHKO like half of the cast, and then like Scarf Guerrilla Tactics with U-turn 2-hit KOs Rotom. So like Rotom Wash, which is kind of crazy. So this Pokemon goes hard. There's not a whole lot to explain. It's kind of similar to stuff like Dracovish and Melmetal, where it's like Melmetal's not as 1D, but go ahead.
I think Darm is a mon I think a lot of people are a bit wishy-washy on. Some people think it's ban-worthy in some leagues. Some people think it's actually not even worth being high tier. I think it all depends on how it's used. And we all know what Darm is bringing pretty much every week. Yeah. It's mainly about how can you utilize the best in each matchup.
Yeah. Like, unlike, Unobin Darm, you're always locked in, pretty much. Unless you're running Zen Mode, which is like 1 out of every season. One match out of every season. Because, yeah, just the scare factor of Zen Mode Darm is pretty good. But yeah, Guerrilla Tactics Scarf Band is pretty much always the way to go, and the 4 moves I have on screen are pretty much the
universally run.
Yeah.
Perhaps sometimes Superpower might be subbed in. Perhaps you're versing a or Stone Edge, yep. I think, but primarily you'd find Earthquake, Flare Blitz will be those 2 coverage moves.
Yeah, and then you turn on this Pokemon, it's just dumb. So yeah. Moving on. Deoxys Defense. This is normally banned, but
yeah, I find it is actually a very interesting Pokemon.
Why does it have water absorb? What?
For those Vishes. Dracovish can get out of here. We one of the ultimate leads, really. Access to virtually every hazard in the game. Great bulk. Access to teleport. Really good utility on this one. Taunt.
And then, like, your choice of any other coverage move, Knockoff is very
Knockoff. Magic Coat. You've got a lot of options on this.
Yeah. Taunt is very good at just stopping sweeps and then just spiking up in the face of opponents. And you just, this thing is dumb. I think it's fair to be allowed, probably. It's very fat.
I think so. I find that this is a mon I think a lot of people overlook. I've seen many a draft where this is available at a very reasonable price. In points drafts, sometimes around 14, 13 points, and still ends up undrafted at the end of the draft.
Yeah, because those attack stats.
can sometimes be set up bait.
Yeah.
If you're running a hyper-offensive team, like, this is a brilliant hazard setter for you.
It's like...
It can pull on other hazard setters, it can teleport into mons, knock off utility, and can get whatever hazards you want in that game.
Yeah. It's kind of like Skarm, but psychic type and has good special defense. The major flaw with Deoxys Defense is its weakness to knockoff. Like, it is very prone to getting knocked off or set up on. Teleport makes it a brilliant pivot. I feel like this is privy to getting blocked by White Herb, or Mental Herb, my bad. And then set up on, because its attacking stats kind of blow. But yeah, this Pokemon's not weak at all. It's just got some major flaws to go alongside its insane upside of being 50, 160, 160 defenses.
I definitely see this mon being used in a utility role, really just setting up other win conditions later in the game, or early on. But it does need to be supported. You need to factor in what will the opponent use to try and neuter Deoxys D each game. It could come set up on. So you do actively need to keep that in mind when you're playing to avoid your opponent actually exploiting you bringing Deoxys D.
Yeah. A good teammate for Deoxys is definitely like a low tier budget pick could be like just a good dark type like Pangoro or Scrafty that punishes. They don't punish knockoff, but they do get invited in by knockoff, and Pangoro can kill something on switch in, and Scrafty can start setting up on stuff on knockoff. I kind of do want to go back and just talk about like a good starting setup teammate for each Pokemon very briefly, because that's kind of helpful. So we could just start at Aegislash. Tapu Fini is amazing. Amazing with this Pokemon.
Good synergy.
Yeah. Blocks Will-O-Wisp. Reduces that fire weakness. Is reducing that dark weakness, especially with that knockoff. Like, being weak to that knockoff kind of sucks, but having Fini there, who comes in and Calm Minds on dark types, is amazing for it.
I think there are, if you pair Aegislash with any really good fairy, you've got a Dragon Fairy Steel Core in the making. It'll do really well. But even just that ground and fire weakness, pairing it also with a good bulky water, hard to go wrong there. Yeah.
I think this Pokemon just goes really well with high tier fairies. Like, specifically that Tapu Fini with that fire resistance. Maybe like Togekiss, because ground resist. Either of those are really nice for it. This Pokemon has just good synergy with any fairy, really. Just, if you get this, make sure you get a high tier fairy rather than like Ribombee or Slurpuff.
I think even having fairies that are good wish passes into Aegislash is really good. Keeping this thing healthy.
Yeah. So, Aromatisse isn't necessarily bad. Neither's Wigglytuff. You could also pair it with that aforementioned Togekiss with that wish passing ability and the ground resist. So Togekiss, Tapu Fini, Aromatisse.
And then eventually things, if you've got the budget, Sylveon, Clefable, great fairies will pair well with this as well.
Yeah. Especially with Magic Guard and Heal Bell to cure those burns or paralysis from the rest of your team. Allows Aegislash to either run that physical set safely without being insanely scared of getting burned and taken out of the game. So, that's just a good fairy. Sylveon, Togekiss, Fini. I guess, are the top 3 recommendations for this. Moving on to Articuno. This Pokemon is great.
I'll be honest, I've never used Articuno. And I'm looking at Articuno's moveset. Generally on a team, you're probably going to need some Steel Breakers for this to work well. Otherwise, it's going to get walled quite easily. Just having a Steel yourself for Ice weaknesses, Rock weakness as well. And if you really want to utilize competitive, you're going to have some hazard setters to actually force your opponent to try and defog.
Yeah, I think the main niche of Articuno is that of Bisharp, where it heavily punishes defogging. So, if they have a good matchup, like a good defogger, so you're like Ferrothorn would work well with this.
Yes, definitely.
Because while it doesn't resist fire, it does have that 4 times resist to fighting types. Like Hitmontop trying to spin kind of gets punished for it. Anything trying to defog the hazards that Ferrothorn sets up kind of give this thing a deadly boost. And then it also has access to U-turn, so it can just punish switches and go right back out to Ferro to set up a couple spikes.
Yeah. I think any hazard stacking team trying to get this competitive boost, but it will need definitely help against electrics, against steels. So you will need to have a lot of support around this Pokemon for it to work effectively.
Then Cinderace. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Cinderace. This Pokemon is not like really bad on its own, actually. Like, it's pretty strong, just straight up. Because it has that core change, it has that Sucker Punch, it has that Pyro Ball. You just want stuff that can fill in the gaps in its offensive coverage that week, I suppose is how I'll say it. Because Cinderace can rarely run 4 moves that can hit everything, which is the biggest problem for it. Especially with Blaze not being able to like Libero boost that Zen Headbutt or that Gunk Shot to break through Feeny or Azumarill super easily with like boot sets.
I think a big thing too, Cinderace can fit on a multitude of archetypes, like pairing it with a really good offensive electric and forming that Voltorn 4 could be really nice, with Cinderace breaking those grasses for you. Yeah. But any offensive archetypes, it can fit onto balance. I think as long as you said, you fill in those offensive gaps in its coverage, and allow it to really utilize its speed, this will work well in a lot of teams.
I feel like this one doesn't need to be gone in depth for, because there's just such a wide variety of ways that this needs to be supported. Like on balance, you want something like a Rotom Wash that can Volt Switch and Hydro Pump.
Fit in safely, defog.
Yeah. And then or just Volt Switch into Court Change away webs could be very nice. Because stuff like Ribombee or Galvantula definitely don't want to be on the receiving end of a Pyro Ball.
Even if you're forming a core around a really strong Dragon type, Fairy type, and you're struggling with breaking steels, Cinderace being able to come in and break some of these steels and come in and click Pyro Ball, which you turn gain momentum, will pair really well with all those high-tier dragons and fairies.
Yeah. So, we'll move on to Corviknight now. I already started talking about this. It's just get a resist to those electric and fire type mons. So it's like dragon. Get a good dragon. Like Garchomp.
Yes, Garchomp would be great.
Yeah, Garchomp can set those rocks. Garchomp can Earthquake. All that stuff. It really helps out Corviknight in exerting pressure on those defensive teams. Any dragon really, but like specifically those Flygon and Garchomp, which can really take those electric attacks and then like can also simultaneously have those fire type attacks covered are really nice. Any dragon in general will work though. Like Druddigan can be a nice low tier pickup alongside Corviknight with that glare support for it, so it can more easily roost on the opponent.
Yeah. I think again Corviknight can also fit in a multitude of builds as well, offensive and balance and defensive, just as long as you cater to those weaknesses. But it can do a lot of things. Most teams.
I feel like it doesn't really perfectly fit on offense because a lot of times it will often kill your offensive momentum because like, while it does have like okay offense, like okay attack, it normally needs to set up to be any type of threat. So
in my mind, I'm looking at more of a sort of some offensive matchups. There is one mon that just kills your offense, and having something like Corviknight that can tank a hit and get something in safely with U-turn can be, and also just with the defog as well.
Yeah,
can be useful,
especially if they have webs in specific.
Yes.
But yeah, you're pretty good off if you need that. Just get something that has magic bounce like Xatu. Because I feel like Xatu would fill the role of like not like slow U-turn, but it has magic bounce for offense teams, and it has that defog, so it can anti-offense pretty well. So moving on to Darmanitan. This Pokemon needs support with killing the things that protect on its U-turn.
I think if you can have a good steel or water breaker, you'll be in a good position here.
Yeah. Like Xurkitree.
Well, yes, Xurkitree would go ham against a lot of Darmanitan's checks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also need to clear hazards for this mon too.
Corviknight could work with this because it can defog and also Iron Defense body press away the steals that are giving you trouble. It can taunt bulky waters. So I guess there we go. There's a good support Pokemon right to its left.
There you go.
This one, just like you just need to kill the bulky checks to it that just like protect on it and punish you for having to run guerrilla tactics for that huge damage output. Deoxys Defense. Have something. This Pokemon have an offensive knockoff block. Bisharp is amazing with this Pokemon. Because this sets up spikes, sets up rocks, forces defog pretty much like no other except for maybe Skarmory or Ferrothorn. And then Bisharp switches in on knockoffs pretty well actually, and then is just like, okay, and Sword Stances. So I feel like Bisharp is really nice. Well, Bisharp's good with any type of hazard, like heavy hazards, but
this combo in particular works.
Yeah, it's very good in particular with Deoxys Defense, or like I said earlier with the Scrafty and Pangoro on the low tiers.
Basically, pairing this with a good Dark that can switch into knockoffs will always work, with Deoxys also being able to switch into those fighting types that often threaten out the Dark types.
Yeah. And it's no slouch at taking those offhand fairy type moves either with that like insane special defense.
Yeah.
And then moving on. This Pokemon, Darmg2.
Mr. Fish's friend?
Yeah, Mr. Fish's friend. The most one-dimensional Pokemon to ever exist. You only run 2 items. If you run any other item, you're running this Pokemon wrong. Unless you're against Melmetal, then you run Rocky Helmet. But you literally only ever run Band or Scarf. And like, if you're actually like insane, you run Iron Ball Trick Room. But that's only if you're clinically insane and need to go to an insane asylum. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, you run these 2 choice items, and you only need 1 move. This is the only move you'll ever need. Yeah, pretty much.
Dracovish,
or if you're running
sand. Or if you're running sand. I think the big thing with Dracovish, if we're looking at a good pair with it, it's very simple. This struggles with Mons Water Absorb, sometimes bulky grasses, sometimes bulky waters. Any Mon that can help deal with those will be an essential partner to Dracovish.
Yeah, so like a good grass, Superior would.
Yes, would be very good with this Mon.
Yeah, because, you crush, you fucking destroy bulky waters with Superior. And then on top of that, you have that hidden power fire that's allowed in this league. You can break some certain Pokemon, etc., that can scare Dracovish. You can really do a lot for this Pokemon. Hidden power fire hits those grass types. And then, like, any special wall that can block Superior Sweep is fucking terrified of Dracovish.
Another spot for this one too, if you can just get spikes up, you can get rocks up, Dracovish will claim kills.
Yeah, and it also force switches onto those said rocks and spikes. So I guess Deoxys Defense, Skarmory, Ferrothorn, all great pickups. Ferrothorn and Superior in specific work very well in tandem with this Pokemon. I guess you could make a really fun core with Dracovish Superior and something that forces defogs. Because if you can get a Dracovish in on a defog, or get a, God forbid, you get Superior in on a defog, something's gonna die, if not their whole team.
Dracovish is a Mon. If you pick it up, you'll be likely building around it, really exploiting how strong Fisher Trend is.
Or Strong Draw, both work.
Another good thing with this Mon too, you will know what Mons this Dracovish will be forced to make your opponent bring. If they have a Water Absorb Mon, you can sure as hell know that they will be bringing that against your Dracovish.
Pretty much, yeah. So, that's all you need. We will do max speed. Max speed. Because this is actually kind of a slow Pokemon. I feel like the biggest weakness is the fact that there are good Mons that outspeed this Pokemon unscarfed. Like Dragapult and Zeraora. But yeah, this is pretty much how you run your Dracovish. You can run Psychic, Fangs, or Outrage, I guess.
Outrage is quite good for a lot of grass types that want to switch in on this. Will shake, sometimes at minimum 60 from an Outrage. They will be 2-hit KO'd due to how strong Outrage is.
So yeah, Dracovish is a good Pokemon. It's just like so 1D that you're forced to build around it pretty much. So if you get Dracovish, make sure your team caters to this Pokemon. Next is Dracozolt, the crappy Dracovish.
More fun in my opinion.
Except now you're never running Hustle. You're always running this on sand. Because Hustle is a terrible ability.
I think the actual utility this brings to sand, I think, is really cool. Having Mons on sand and do really well against bulky waters is something that wasn't really happening until this gen. So, very fun on sand teams.
Also, this can break through a lot of things that wall Excadrill on sand teams. Because, yeah, it just goes for that Bulk Beak that breaks pretty, physical walls don't actually wall this Pokemon. It just kills them because, Bolt Beak is an insane move. So on sand, I mean, you can run Dracovish on sand, but I feel like you kind of want to run it on rain or just run it raw with like Scarf,
Strongjaw,
Strongjaw, Vicious Ren versus this where
the big thing too. If you run Sand Rush, you're actually missing out on that Strongjaw boost on your Vicious Ren as well.
Yeah. And then you're always running Choice Band on Dracovish, and then you can't run double Choice Band if they're a defensive team, which kind of sucks. Like, what I mean is, if they're a defensive team, you can't run Bandage.
Very cool thing with
really well.
Another cool thing with Dracozolt too, on sand teams as well, is against something like a Ferrothorn, very, very common, these mons will run sub Flamethrower to really lure in those very Phys-Def grass types and try to just chip them down for sand teams. So another way this mon's often used.
Yeah, very good Pokemon. I feel like just the generic way to say that, or this Pokemon supports are Tyranitar, Excadrill, and a Fairy, realistically.
Very well.
So long as it's not Tapu Fini and you're not wrecking your own Dragon Claws. Tapu Koko could be cool. Sand, electric terrain, boosted Bolt Beam. That would be kind of scary.
If you are planning to draft Dracozolt on sand, please get a ground resist, a good ground resist.
Hey.
Otherwise, Edge Crake is going to beat you every day of the week.
Hey, it's Pokemon. Maybe you draft this. Maybe you draft this Pokemon.
It'd be good.
Just saying. So now we'll move on to Dragapult, the best draft Pokemon.
I could go on about Dragapult all day.
Okay.
With King using this last.
Let me just list off the items Dragapult runs. All of them. Those are the items Dragapult runs. Every single item on Dragapult is viable.
I'd say if you are looking for a mon that will carry your offense with variety each week, will keep your opponent on their toes, guessing what set you're going to bring each week, and can really support a lot of offensive archetypes and a little bit of balance, Dragapult is your mon. It's very hard to find many mons with such a good speed tier every week.
Yeah, and then, mixed offenses with good coverage on both ends is very hard to cover for. You never know if they're running Choice or Life Orb until you're hit with a Specs Draco or a Banded Darts and your Pokemon is dead. And then you also have Boots U-turn, which is annoying as hell, but
underrated thing with Dragapult makes it so good are those abilities. We've got something immune to webs if you're running Clear Body, something that can break through any screens or substitutes you try to set up on it. This is a very strong offensive mon. That on any offensive build will do go ham.
Yeah, pretty much. This is it is definitely the best offensive glue Pokemon pretty much ever. Because you can stick this on any offense team and it will put in work. Yes. No matter how garbage the rest of your team is, you can draft like all tier 5s in Dragapult and Dragapult will go wild.
Some really classic ones I've seen pair with Dragapult. If you can grab Mega Mawile, Dragapult, Mawile luring in those steel types, you can actually break holes through them. We'll just go ham for Dragapult. If you can get P-Spikes up as well, allowing Dragapult to run Hex, another brilliant thing for this mod. Something even like Salazzle, being able to poison absolutely anything in the game, helps break fairies, helps break steals, would also be very good with it.
Yeah, Salazzle is not a mon that is very good on every team, but it works incredibly well in tandem with Dragapult because it 4 times resists fairy. It doesn't resist pretty much ever, or other stuff, but stuff that Dragapult struggles to break down and decompose immediately. Like, I say immediately because after a Dragon Dance, this Pokemon can kill pretty much anything in one turn. So, yeah.
If this is a Zmon as well, there is a lot of utility.
It cannot be
being able to run.
Right. It cannot be a Z Pokemon.
Z rules changed?
Yeah, the rule is no tier 1 Z Pokemons now.
Alright. If you're in another league, grab Z on this. This thing is amazing with Z.
Yeah. Yeah. Mega Mawile, very good Pokemon with this. Salazzle, very good Pokemon with this. Top 2 recommendations to work with this Pokemon. Do not get Tapu Fini.
No.
Glastrier. I don't use this Pokemon. I'm 90% sure the sets are Heavy Duty Boots, Life Orb, and Choice Band. Maybe it's all the best if you're weak to a special mon that week, because this month's special defense is good. This month's regular defense is good. This month's HP is insane. This month's attack is insane. Okay, I know a lot of people are looking forward to running Trick Room this season. First come, first serve. This is the Pokemon. Ultimate Trick Room Pokemon right here. 30 speed, 145 attack, and insane bulk.
I think if you draft this Pokemon, you have to have some sort of Trick Room support. Trick Room support on this Pokemon is what makes it good.
Pretty much. This mon is pretty much defined by Trick Room. If you're not running Trick Room, you're drafting this to anti-Trick Room.
Yes.
So that's pretty much... No, I don't think this season that Trick Room is going to be an uncommon archetype. So if you draft a really heavy, fast type offense team, this mon won't suck on your team. But it will be way more dependent on your opponent than you would probably like it to be.
I think the ultimate partner with this Pokemon is definitely if you can get either Slowbro or Slowking. Water Psychic type resists fire, resists Psychic, does well against Rock types. It will set up Trick Room, it will teleport into this to beat grasses and whatnot, dragons. You'll have a very good core. So I definitely reckon any of the Slowbro or Slowking.
Yeah, that works a lot. Reuniclus is also kind of okay. Cresselia is okay. Like, obviously... wait, does Deoxys get Trick Room?
It'd be good if it does. Potentially. Let's have a look.
It does.
It does. Another good mod.
Run Deoxys Defense with Glastrier and win. Yeah.
There you go.
And then, yeah, we have Melmetal in a second. But before we have to talk about this garbage Pokemon, Inteleon. Kind of mediocre, especially in comparison to the other starters. It doesn't really get a whole lot. I guess you can run Creteleon. You have like Boots U-Turn, Focus Sash, Focus Energy, Scarf, Specs. There's a small variety of offensive items you run on it, but its coverage is like Keldeo without the power.
I was even going to say Greninja with a lot less utility.
I don't even know Life Orbs.
You're running sort of defensive sets, probably with Hydro Pump, with your U-Turn. Potentially you're running the Crit Inteleon.
I think now you're pretty much always running Creteleon, because if you're not running Creteleon, then why did you draft Inteleon? Like, honestly. I'm pretty sure Kingdra's in the same tier as Inteleon. I'm not sure why you would ever draft Inteleon unless you need it. Okay, this gets Haze. It gets Haze.
I think Kingdra is in tier 2. I'm not sure what tier Inteleon's on. So
3.
I guess if you were looking for a water type and you just wanted a fairly decent speed tier, sort of offensive mon with U-Turn, maybe this is for you. However, we would say this isn't the greatest mon.
This and
Perhaps
Articuno are like the mons on this list so far that we don't recommend getting.
Yeah.
Very few Pokemon thus far are not worth getting, but Inteleon and Articuno are pretty much not worth it. You could get better tier 3s, a lot better tier 3s. There's Vaporeon in this tier.
It's also, if you're drafting Inteleon, you're acknowledging that your water isn't a bulky water. Having a bulky water in any draft is, I won't say a necessity, but is very, very desirable.
You know, the instant you pick your Inteleon, you are deciding that you have lost to Dracovish unless you're drafting Cradily.
Yes.
So, this Pokemon is kind of mediocre and bad, I guess.
Sorry,
I guess if you wanted to draft it, you would want to get something that can support crit. So this is like... Okay, the biggest role Inteleon will ever play is anti-sweep and screen setting. Because it has both screens, it has haze, it has crit. It can pretty much stop sweeps in their tracks occasionally. It's not going to do a better job at stopping sweeps than Vaporeon will, but...
It is something.
It can. It's fast. There you go. Your whole reason to run this is the 120 base speed tier haze. That is why you are drafting Inteleon.
Melmetal. Awesome.
Yeah. You're going from a very crappy, mediocre tier 3 to big punch, man.
Big punch. Double line bash.
Yep.
Is very, very strong move. You may assume if you have a steel resist that you'll be taking nothing from this attack. You are wrong. You will still be taking a jump. Unless you're Slowbro. Big things to consider with this is teams will bring Rocky Helmet against you.
Yeah. I've seen some unique sets with this Pokemon. I've seen Discharge run versus Rain to pop Pelipper, who thought it could wall it. You have the elemental punches with the exception of Fire Punch. You have Superpower. You have Acid Armor Body Press, which is really fun. You have AV4 move. You have Protect 3 move.
It's actually interesting with this mon because unlike Dracovish and Charm, you may actually think this is really one-dimensional, but ironically, this actually does have a few options that you can whip out each week to actually counter what you would expect them to bring.
Yeah. I like Melmetal more than I like Dracovish because it can run AV4 move, it can run leftover 3 move Protect or Acid Armor, it can run Acid Armor Body Press, it can run freaking Double Iron Bash Banded. This one does have a few varying sets. It also has protective pads if they have Slowbro.
Yes. Another thing too, if they are bringing something like Slowbro, and you know that switch is obvious, bringing just Toxic as well, particularly if you're going to support something else later on that also needs Slowbro weakened. This can do a lot.
It also has Darkest Lariat for Slowbro. So if you... which also ignores stat boost, so if like Mega Bro is starting to get out of hand with Iron Defense, just Dark Lariat into its face and do like 40.
I would say Melmetal is a mon that looks really easy to counter on paper, but you will be shocked once you enter that matchup.
Oh no, they brought Thunder Punch, I instantly lose.
Yeah.
That's how Melmetal often goes. Oh yeah, for teammates, Bulky Water Breaker, 100%.
Yeah.
Circuitry again. With that middle speed tier, it's not like perfect. You can get Mega Manectric because it still has hidden power in this league. So, Mega Manectric could also be a very fun partner for this Pokemon, breaking those bulky waters down.
I think as well, if you can find ways just to keep this healthy, and you can deal with the checks draw off in Steel types, Fire types, Water types. This will go ham.
Yeah. This is like, I guess, Conk without reliable, well, not even reliable, without like semi-reliable recovery outside of leftovers. It's just straight up fat. It's not fat with Drain Punch, it's just straight up bulky. So, this Pokemon can provide actual defensive and balance utility, and it also has a spot on offense teams with, like, just raw kill power.
I've played this one a couple times, and although you can deal with it, you never deal with it as well as you hope you can. It does have utility.
Yeah. Melmetal and Dracovish are on the same boat in that regard. It's just like, you always expect to deal with Dracovish, and then it clicks Outrage and kills your Pokemon, and then you have to revenge it with a Fairy. But in the end, you still lost a Pokemon. So,
well done.
Yeah. Then, we have Moltres. 100 times better than freaking Articuno will ever be.
Agreed. A better stab to click in dark. Berserk is an amazing ability.
Unfortunately, it doesn't get recovery.
With recovery, this would be arguably like a tier 2. However, it doesn't.
Unlike a lot of flying types, you probably don't want to run Boots, because if you run Boots, you're giving up that 25%, which could help you proc Berserk. So, if you use the rocks to your advantage, you can get that free +1 and then sub up on the switch, and then click Nasty Plot and kill something at +3.
I think when you first look at this one, you probably assume what it does. But if you go through and you get the Nasty Plot up, get the +3, this becomes actually quite dangerous because of how bulky it is, actually. I don't think there are many mons actually like Moltres. I think it's just sort of in a very weird niche of its own. You want to get it whittled so you can get a huge boost.
Yeah. The biggest flaw with Galarian Moltres is that base 90 speed, which is very middling. But versus defensive teams that like putting up as many hazards as they possibly can, this is very punishing of that. Definitely something I would consider a stall breaker, because it just subs up in defensive Pokemon's faces and Nasty Plots, and then once it gets its sub broken, it subs up again, and now it's at +3, and now it's killing your Pokemon and flinching them all to death.
I think big things to consider is this will definitely struggle with Steels, this will struggle with Fairies.
I'm not sure it will struggle with Steel so much, because unless they have a secondary typing that resists Fiery Wrath after a Nasty Plot, if you get one flinch, that Steel is instantly in trouble.
Early on, Steels might struggle with, but definitely Fairies are the big one.
Yeah. Fairies. And then, like, I guess other Darks can also pose a bit of a problem, because while you have U-turn, Moltres is kind of a twink with 85 base attack and like pretty garbage attack stats. But yeah, Berserk in tandem with Fiery Wrath, Air Slash, Sub, very fun. You could run Boots as well. It's just not as recommended because it won't give you as much offensive pressure. In terms of teammates, you're just going to want a great Steel type or Poison type. Like, Scolipede could be very good with this because it patches up that speed flaw. And this also has the bulk to tank for Scolipede, and then like it also has the ability to U-turn into it, and then allow that to go kind of crazy. Like, you have all the utility you need without, like, with the exception of screens to support a Scolipede. You have Memento.
I also think this would be quite scary with some T-Spikes up.
Yeah, and like any spike support, because the instant you got spikes and T-Spikes up, your ability to live any type of flinch or non-flinch hit really is drastically lowered. So, yeah, Moltres-Galar. Recommend Scolipede or something like Melmetal, because
Be
those
very
can
good with this.
beat the fairies that it needs, or in Scolipede's case, can actually heavily punish the fairies for trying to stop Moltres. Right.
Oh,
Obstagoon.
Obstagoon.
This I almost didn't put this Pokemon on the list, but it made it.
It very fun to use. That's Facade. Obstruct.
And you have like CC and freaking knockoff. So a lot of times you might not even want to run this. You might want to run Cross Chop instead, because you know this thing has 93, 101, 81 with an actually like okay defensive typing. It crushes ghosts that are an Aegislash, but
if you are looking for a decently priced wall breaker,
well, it's tier
this
2,
could be it.
But it's still not half bad in tier 2 for the typing and defensive utility it brings. And like, it's like, I guess, dark type fast conk with obstruct and a stab knockoff and stab facade. It's lacking of Drain Punch is kind of sad, but it hits so hard that sometimes it may not even need it.
I think like if you pair this with something like a Psychic, would be pretty good. It's just a very decent wall breaker, really. If you can just get this in safely, so having some good pivot options, U-turning or Volt switching into this to just get it some kills, that would be great.
Also, not that it's like as relevant as Guts, but I feel like people tend to neglect Defiant, because you can bring this in on Defog, and then you're hitting even harder. You're hitting very hard for you punish Defiant, and while you don't have that stab boosted facade, you can run like Double Edge and just freaking explode people at +2. And then on top of that, your knockoffs are 1.5 times stronger. So yeah, Defiant is there, but Guts is better. But I just didn't want to neglect to mention that it does have Defiant. It's just Guts is so good.
You will likely be running Guts more often.
Yeah. This Pokemon. Okay. You run Specs or Scarf. We'll just say Specs because Specs is the most fun set. And then you run Dragon Energy and pray to God that they don't have a Fairy type.
Essentially. Like this can run Dragon Dance. Do you want to? Perhaps once every season. More often, you want to try and abuse that Dragon Energy.
Yeah. Scarf for Specs. Click the move, and they die. Pretty much. They die, or they're a Fairy type.
Yes.
Or they're a Steel type with good special defense, but that's less common than Fairies just coming in and freaking sitting on you.
It is technically a screen setter. You could run Light Play, have Light Screen reflect, and then blow up if you really wanted. I don't think that is what this one's really made to do, but utility is there.
Yeah. This Pokemon is fun. It's just like, if they have a Fairy, you're kind of screwed. And this is taking up your tier 3. So
yeah, I think pair with this a really good Steel type. Keep Regidrago healthy because your Dragon Energy depends on it.
Melmetal. Ferrothorn also really helps by setting up spikes. Maybe, especially webs. Having a web support Pokemon like Ribombee.
Yeah, webs would be really good.
Ribombee or Orbeetle can be very, very nice with this Pokemon. You might want Araquanid or Galvantula as your other tier 3 because they can actually like dent steals. Especially Araquanid because you can click Water Bubble Liquidation, and if they don't resist it, that's probably going to 2-hit KO. So, yeah. This Pokemon, Araquanid or Ferrothorn, good hazards really help this Pokemon thrive in specific.
Now he's faster, arguably I'd say more viable counterpart.
Yeah, definitely, you're not wrong in any sense. This Pokemon is like,
one is interesting.
Run Zoroark.
I think this one, its weaknesses are so defined, it's quite easy to explain what it does. It barely has any coverage, it runs strong electric stab, so really you need to pack something that deals with grounds. Yep. I often see this on Rain, with the water types working well against the grounds. This is a tricky mon that you'll need to build around a lot.
Yeah, this is kind of like Dracovish, where it has like Specs Transistor Thunderbolt, and it's just like, oh, well, I don't have a switch in time to sack a Pokemon. Or they have a ground type that just walls you, and you're like, crap, I didn't prepare for this.
Does actually run screens well, due to how fast you are. Your speed is so high you can invest in some bulk. You don't have much, but there is enough that you can possibly get up the screen you want. Explosion.
Yeah, you also have access to Volt Switch and Boom. So, Volt Switch and Boom allow you to screen up and then either kill yourself to get an ally in safely, or Volt Switch to freaking chunk something on the Switch.
I'd say, yeah, you either are running a very offensive, possibly Specs, possibly Life Orb, or you are running screens.
Or Rapid Spin.
Yeah. Rapid Spin. That's what this mon does.
It's a funky
rapid. You need to have something for those grounds, and you'll be good.
I think Regieleki is very well supported by like water types like Pelipper, because I think you're right. This would definitely thrive on a proper Rain team, because it Volt Switches on a lot of stuff and then brings in like Kingdra or Mega Swampert and goes like, and they die.
Rain also giving it the ability to run Thunder.
Thunder on this thing is terrifying.
Yeah. I would say, like a lot of mons these gen, there's one thing really well. You gotta support it to do that one thing really well.
Yeah, with the exception of Melmetal. Well, Melmetal still needs support. It's just, it has 3 actual sets versus 1. And then,
Rillaboom. Very fun mon to use in my opinion. And you've got the monkey.
Monkey.
I think you're often going to be running a lot of choice sets, but often sometimes you'll be running something like SD. Pivoting options. Grassy terrain is very cool. This mon. It can actually be a nice support to a lot of things. And hits hard.
Okay. For this Pokemon, you need something that can kill flying types if you want it to sweep and kill everything with Grassy Glide, because it doesn't even get Stone Edge or even Rock Slide. So you almost unanimously need like a good rock type helps this Pokemon a lot, because rock types really benefit from the Grassy Surge. Like Lycanroc with Accelerock can really just smash a lot of flying types, especially with rocks up, and it benefits from not being killed by offhand high horsepowers, or no, not high horsepowers, offhand earthquakes from Pokemon. Also, this
same thing with electrics. This deals with a lot of ground for electrics, and the electrics deal with flying as well.
So electrics are very good. Rocks are very good. So like Lycanroc, maybe Regieleki or Raikou. You could also run double terrain with like Coco or Pincurchin, but not recommended. Realistically, you just want a good, hard-hitting electric like Jolteon. So I'll just say budget picks are like Jolteon and Lycanroc, midday or dusk.
Yeah. This is also a really good U-turn mon. It does force some switches. So if you're building an offensive team around something in Rillaboom, it can work very well.
So Rillaboom, Lycanroc, Jolteon. This guy, I love this guy. Just kidding. I hate this guy with a burning obsession.
Very cool.
Yeah, this thing has a very fun defensive type. It's very unique. And a lot of teams don't have a proper answer to this Pokemon. It kind of just crushes them, really.
I think I've found this mon, as you say, has a lot of offensive potential. I think it often also gets overlooked in team building, often because when you see the word Slowbro or Slowking, you think of the normal set, and you think this thing's going to be really just a wall. However, this thing is scary. Future Sight is very scary on this.
I feel like this is a very common set for it. Like you have the poison, with the same power as Sludge Bomb, and then you have Future Sight, which is a dumb move right now. I didn't really see it getting used much, and then like this generation, all the Slowbros got it with Teleport, and now all the Slows got it with Teleport, and then it's on everything. But like especially with this mon having like an actually good special attack and the ability to follow up directly after with Quick Draw, Shell Sidearm can work. Regenerator helps on those fatter nasty plot sets or fatter just straight defensive sets.
And a big thing is this thing still gets teleport.
And
which is very handy in a lot of teams. And Slack Off.
It retains the defensive utility with a really unique defensive typing. Like Waters and Psychics are commonly scooped up rather early, so a lot of times Slowbro, like base Slowbro or Slowking, won't end up fitting on teams very well. But poison types are rather uncommon to come by, so you'll end up really using this Pokemon because you already utilized your water spot, but you need that teleport regenerator that a slow provides.
I think out of all the mons, I actually really think that the two slow mons are very good value and they are very fun. I would say if you like Slowbro and you like Slowking and you miss out on them, don't worry, these things are here too. They do similar things, but in my opinion, just more fun.
Yeah. I especially agree with Slowking, but we're on Slowbro right now, and we have to give them just teammates. Tapu Bulu works very well with this. So does Rillaboom. Pretty much any bulky grass that supports it being weak to Earthquake as a somewhat defensive Pokemon. You will end up really benefiting if you have that grassy terrain support from like Thwackey, Tapu Bulu, or Monkey.
Also, if you're running Future Sight, if you're running other offensive mons, Future Sight activating a couple turns later will often give you enough chip to finally knock out a mon. So this is very good support. Sometimes just for sweepers in general.
Oh yeah.
Having that side up.
Number one recommendation as a teammate for this Pokemon is 100% Breloom. Breloom can spore Pokemon. Breloom can for it to set up Future Sight really easily, or set up with Nasty Plot. Breloom also switches into those Earthquakes very well, and Breloom also really benefits from, or can prevent Dark types from switching in to block Future Sight, and then it will break the Pokemon with its insane attack power.
Having teleport on these mons to bring in Breloom in safely, yeah, that is a very good combo.
Yeah, you could run Technician, or you could run Poison Heal and just not die ever. So yeah, Breloom and Slowbro work very well together, because Breloom just puts the best of everything that Slowbro wants together, really. Alright. This guy. Love this guy. I actually love this guy. Unlike Slowbro.
This guy's good.
Yes, he's very fun. This one, unlike Slowbro, will actually end up running more defensive sets. Like Boots. This is an example of Boots, I guess. You run this, you run Teleport. Wait. It doesn't get Teleport. Oops. But this thing has insane coverage. You have like Fire Blast, Focus Blast, Sludge Wave, and Future Sight. The Focus Blast threatens out the stuff that is just like, oh, I think I can come in on the Future Sight, and then you get blown back by a Focus Blast doing 70 because this month's special attack doesn't suck. So this Pokemon is actually very good defensively, and then it just has that random offensive utility with like great coverage and Future Sight. It would also benefit from having a teammate like Breloom, but I feel like this Pokemon would probably benefit a little bit more from having stuff that is like, because if you compare the stats, a Slowbro-Galar is a little bit less defensive, so actually, like, this would probably pair better with Breloom than Slowbro, because they hit both ends of the spectrum very hard, and this has great offense. This is less of a mixed attacker than a regular, like, Slowbro-Galar. That's the major difference. This is a much fatter Pokemon, but it has way lower base attack stat. And a slightly lower defense stat. So, yeah, this with Breloom is probably better than this. Does this get Teleport? I don't think it does. No, it doesn't.
So, because I swear I versed one of these that had Teleport. Maybe I'm misremembering.
It's just because you're so used to fighting Slowbro. Can't think of anything else. Probably, or at least that's how I feel about it, but yeah. Moving on, I guess, because these both are supported well by Breloom or anything with grassy terrain, or anything that can, well, since these have such good, like, typing makes them immune to Toxic, you might want, like, Trick Room support if you want to go offensive with either of them. That's the main thought.
Spectrier, another very one-dimensional Pokemon. Very good.
Yeah, I feel like once you chip normals, because here's the difference between this and Dracovish is this is actually fast. And it doesn't have terrible bulk, but it's walled by more. Because it has Stab, Shadow Ball, and it has like freaking Mudshot and Dark Pulse with the garbage coverage moves for Ghost type. But yeah, Spectrier is, if you kill your checks, you instantly win. Or if you whittle down their Dark type check and it's 2-hit KO'd by Spec Shadow Ball, you win.
I think the other maybe variant you might get is sometimes you'll get those sub-hex sets. Most commonly, you're probably going to be running like Specs or probably Scarf with your Shadow Ball.
Yeah, I feel like in draft you're more likely to run Specs because you just want to freaking blow teams back and sweep as quickly as you can. This also has quick haze if need be, but more often than not you're just running like Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, and like freaking Mud Shot, which is a crappy move. And then you have like, I don't even know, there's not even a fourth coverage move for this Pokemon to run.
Yeah, it
really...
At that point you sort of just chuck a Hex just in case.
There we go. We have Uproar.
Uproar.
Kind of crappy move, but we'll work with it. But yeah, Spectrier, you definitely want as powerful a fighting type as you can get in conjunction with this. Especially, unlike Deoxys, you're actually threatened to be O-code by knockoff because you have really crappy defense stat. So like, Pangoro Crunch will kill you instantaneously with this guy. Unlike Deoxys, where it'll probably like 2 a KO unless they're banded.
Another one that you do need to build around, probably not as much as some of the others, but if you just pair this with a really good fighting type, you'll be in a good position.
Yeah. And you also kind of just want something that can deal with bulky normals like Miltank and Blissey. Like, fighting type is nice, but like, if they have a dark type like Spiritomb, you're in a really bad spot. So I guess if fighting and a fairy work very well, because on the offhand that they have like a Spiritomb type guy that beats your fighting 1v1 or a Mandibuzz, which would beat both your fighting and Spectrier, you would like that fairy. Unfortunately, there's no fairy fighting types, but oh well.
Finally.
Yeah. Moving on to the real Urshifu, not the fake poser Urshifu.
The cool Urshifu.
The murderer Urshifu. Murder Shifu.
Wicked Blow.
You never run U-turn on this. You just freaking kill stuff. That's how you play with this Pokemon. Wicked Blow.
Wicked Blow. First combat, like a punch.
And then you run coverage move depending on whether they have a fairy or not.
Yep.
Or if they have Mandibuzz. You have Ice Punch if they have Mandibuzz, like just Mandibuzz exclusively. And if they don't, then you run Poison Jab as the fourth move. And then they can't switch into you. Ever. Because Bandit Wicked Blow will 2-hit KO Toxicroak, which is the only Pokemon that resists these three moves. So
yeah, if we're talking about wall breakers, this is the wall breaker. If you just want to click a move and things are going to
drop
struggling, this is what you get.
Yeah, this is murder. Yeah, pretty much murder the Pokemon. It just kills really.
Yeah, all you really need is if you can bring something that deals with some fairies. Fairies are going to struggle with this mod to begin with anyway. Something to do with fairies.
Something about the problem with Urshifu is it's constantly guessing. I would say it's not a hard mod to use because you have Stab Wicked Blow, which is a stupid move. But if they switch in the fairy, or they have a fairy, you're immediately trying to 50-50 that fairy. Or if they have a fighting type, it's a 50-50 on whether you click CC or Wicked Blow. Of course, there are offensive teams that just freaking instantly lose to this Pokemon.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think you'll find that with this mod a lot, you need prep for the fairy they're going to bring. The fairy is going to come, and you got to be aware of what Scarfers are they going to bring to try and revenge this.
Yeah, because this is a strong Scarf for itself, but it has like the second most depressing speed tier of the game of base 97 speed. The most depressing being 99. But Yeah, 97 is a really awkward speed tier where you lose to like all the base 100 Scarfers anti-dragon.
I think like another mon, if you pair a really good fairy killer with it,
A quick steal.
quick steal, like
What's a
you're
good
going to be in another good position.
Let me just check out a good steel type that's fast. Who's the fastest steel type? Obviously, Zamazenta is the fastest steel type. Who cares? Dugtrio, Lola, Durant.
Durant could be cool. Yeah. Even just like a fast poison type, like even like Scolipede for fairies would be fine.
Yeah.
Then you get T-Spikes up for Urshifu. And it, yeah.
I really think that like just a fast steel or poison. There's only like one fast poison in the whole game, unfortunately. But like, wait, there's Salazzle and
Salazzle could be cool.
Yeah, there's Salazzle and Scolipede, which are like the only fast poison types that exist. And then the fast steel type is like Durant. So, yeah, Durant, Scolipede. I would say that you would probably want Scolipede versus Durant, because then you also resist fighting. Toxapex could also be nice, because I'm pretty sure Toxapex gets flip turns, so you can actually... This is one of the few mons that would make flip turn Pex work on offense.
Yeah. And again, yeah, if you get any sort of T-Spike spiked rocks, it's just going to help this thing break.
Yeah.
This with webs as well would also be a very scary prospect.
Webs are pretty much needed for Urshifu teams. You're building around this, but unlike Spectrier, this runs more than one set. So, yeah, I would say on net average, Urshifu is probably one of the best picks you can make. Like Urshifu, Aegislash, Melmetal, Dragapult are very, very good tier 1 picks for people to pick up. Moving on.
The less good Urshifu.
The crap Urshifu.
It does have some potential. It is the poser. It's interesting.
This is like a billion times worse offensive stab typing.
If it had the water type Wicked Blow, it still wouldn't even be as good as Dark Urshifu. But it has some potential.
It has like the same sets as it has the same sets just with water type moves. It has same sets with water type moves and Aqua Jet, which is just objectively worse because now you're walled by bulky waters, because your choice banded close combats are typically not enough, and they're making you die to Scalds faster. Well, not that this mon beat to Scald, but this thing getting burned is pretty much wraps for it. Not that it's not for the other Urshifu, but this is a lot more susceptible to being burned. Like, other Urshifu with, like, Wicked Blow just goes, like, and they die. This is, like...
I think if you compare to good Urshifu, you'll be disappointed. I guess if you are looking for a... it is a fighting type with a very strong close combat. It packs U-turn, it packs Surging Strikes. Good for, if a mon's behind a sub. It can be a decent mon, but if you're expecting it to replace your sniped Urshifu Dark, just find something else.
Yeah, Pangoro. Yeah, Pangoro is just budget Urshifu. That's like exactly what it is, pretty much. It's tier 4 Urshifu. This Pokemon is more or less supporting your Pokemon as opposed to being supported outside of, like, you need to get a good bulky water breaker. Because it doesn't have Wicked Blow.
Yeah, if you have a grass type that exploits other grasses, waters could be a good shout.
Like Delmise craps on this.
Delmise could be cool.
You need to draft Delmise so no one else gets it. Because this mon doesn't do anything versus Delmise.
There is an argument for this mon on Rain, but as a Rain user myself, there are better mons that can exploit it. If you really like the idea of this mon, it could be cool.
I personally don't recommend getting this mon. I'll go through it again. I don't recommend Articuno-G. I don't recommend Inteleon. And I kind of don't recommend Obstagoon because in Tier 2 it is kind of expensive. But if you need just a straight up wall breaker, then just get it. I recommend all. These are probably the best value picks. I don't recommend this or the next or the next two, honestly. The last two. I don't recommend getting any of these three because they all kind of suck for the tier they're in. So we'll move on to Zapdos-Galar. This one is so sad.
Yeah.
If it was slightly worse, it would slot into tier 2, but it's too good for tier 2, but it's too bad to be anywhere worth a tier 1 pick.
Yeah, this thing does one thing really well. It's a Defiant user. You can either put Scarf, put Band on it, and you're clicking Brave Birds, you're clicking Close Combats, and you're clicking U-Turn. You're probably going to put this on a offensive team with, spikes, something to force those defaults to hopefully set up your Defiant. And this thing will try and just get you some momentum, get you some kills, but that's pretty much it. It can have some value, but I would say there are better mons.
It's like Bisharp, but with better coverage, better offensive stabs, and but it's typically running Band. So the difference between this and Bisharp is Bisharp has a better defensive typing, well, subjectively, and this has better coverage. But other than that, you're not gaining a whole lot by going Zapdos over a Hawlucha or like a Tapu Lucha combo is probably just better than this.
I think if you were planning on running a hyper offensive team, this could be a cool pick. This could be very fun to use. I could see this actually getting a couple kills later in the game, particularly if you got a Defiant boost off. But yes, as you say, in tier 1, it is a bit pricey.
Yeah, like they're better type, fighting type Pokemon in that tier. Good is better than this, but this is probably one of the weaker offensive Pokemon in tier 1. You're better off getting Dragapult or Urshifu, but if all those are gone and you're really banking on a tier 1 fighting type and you really don't want Staraptor, or Sirolin already picked Staraptor, then I guess this is a pick, I guess. I don't really know why you'd pick this ever, but it works if you need a more expensive Staraptor. This guy.
Moving on to Zarude.
This guy sucks. This guy's so bad. This guy's so bad. You need leftovers, or whatever the hell the bug resist berry is.
It is Tanga, I believe. Other than A.
Tanga? Yeah.
Tanga berry.
So you're running Tanga berry, leftovers, or choice band, or maybe even a Solvest if you're feeling frisky. Then you run CC and Seed Bomb, Darkest Lariat, and then Bulk Up.
Maybe Bulk Up.
Yeah, maybe Bulk Up. Maybe. I don't even know. This thing has 3 coverage types and Rock Slide. And U-Turn. So you're probably running this a lot of weeks. Maybe Assault Vest or Leftovers in place of Tangaberry if their U-Turn users kind of suck. But a lot of teams will have strong enough U-turns that Zarude is like, oh crap, I can't do anything.
I can see this Mon being really fun in the hands of the right player. Is it worth doing it? I would say there are better Mons, there are better Grass types, and there are better Dark types. This is a Dark type that doesn't even carry knockoff, which is very unfortunate.
5 Sharps in the same tier.
Yeah. I'd say if you're looking for something, if you want to challenge yourself and grab up something that maybe could be good in a couple matchups, it has a lot of weaknesses. This might be the thing for you.
It has good bulk, I guess. Yeah, it has good bulk, but like its defensive typing is so bad that you're gonna have difficulty making good use of it. If this thing had Chlorophyll instead of freaking Leaf Guard, it might actually be good.
I would love a Chlorophyll Zarude, but
freaking Leaf Guard looking Zarude. Trash it. But this Pokemon is deeply flawed, and it's tier 2. Get Hoopa in tier 1. I know Hoopa is not comparable, but you know, if you want a Mon that dies to freaking U-turn every freaking game, might as well get Hoopa, which is just, you know, more fun and better. I guess if you need the 105 speed tier, get this, but I wouldn't really recommend this ever. Should get drafted ever.
I think that's pretty decent summary of everything.
Yeah. Well, there's one more thing I want to go over after you finish.
I was gonna say the big thing with a lot of these new monsters, Gen, is a lot of them do one thing well, and you're just gonna build your team a bit around those niches.
Or your Urshifu.
Or your Urshifu.
I would say there are just stronger equivalents to a lot of these Pokemon. Like for tier 2s, a lot of these are good pickups. Like Cinderace is a great pickup. Corviknight's a great pickup for tier 1. Darmg is very like, if you're willing to build around it, it's good. Same with Deoxys Defense, Vish, Zolt. Dragapult is debatably the best Pokemon you can ever pick up. Glastrier, you really need to support. Inteleon fucking sucks. Melmetal needs support.
Really good.
Moltres needs support. Obstagoon needs a lot of support. Regidrago and Regieleki are probably like top 3 most support dependent Pokemon here. This Rillaboom's a great pickup because it will give a lot of Mon support. These 2 are very high value because they got that regenerator and offensive value, like defense, offense value, and great typing, as well as Future Sight. Spectrier needs a lot of support. Good Shifu is just instantly OP because it kills everything. It doesn't really need support to wreck shit. Bad Urshifu sucks. Don't draft it. And Zapdos is more expensive Staraptor. So, if Roland snipes your Staraptor from you, get Zapdos-Galar. If you're willing to pay the tier 1 price for it. And Zarude sucks, don't get it. Unless you're looking to challenge yourself. And then, the last thing I just wanted to cover, because, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody already knows about it, but heavy duty boots.
Yeah. What a great item.
Hazards.
Change the game.
Changed just the game. Makes fire types a lot better. Makes flying types a lot better. A lot of defoggers gained infinity utility with this. And then a lot of fast U-turners or Volt Switchers, like Zeraora or Dragapult, can run boots so that they are not getting whittled down more than they already have to.
The general consensus is if you have a Mon that you want to bring onto the field multiple times a game, heavy duty boots is a good option.
Yeah, realistically. That's why, like, even Slowbro runs heavy duty boots so that Regenerator is maximized.
I think the other thing to actually think about heavy duty boots is because so many Mons are assumed to bring it to many games, that is when you can actually bluff heavy duty boots. Like, if you bring a Cinderace, it's often assumed you're going to bring heavy duty boots. And that's when bringing a choice band can really surprise your opponent.
Yeah, I really think heavy duty boots are interesting. I recommend people to try them out who haven't really gotten to use them a whole lot before. Especially if they're like fast flying types. Those could really help bulky flying types, fast Pokemon in general, really.
Yeah.
So that pretty much
a lot of your fires.
Yeah. That pretty much sums up everything in this video. My throat hurts so bad. But that covers all the Pokemon that I wanted to cover. And it covers these guys, or heavy duty boots as well. So, yeah, that's it. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck, everyone.